So after finishing Horizon Forbidden West's main campaign and leaving a bunch of stuff open to revisit later, to me, my initial review for this game, the short version of it is, I would give this game a 9 out of 10. Much like the first game, which I loved the second game. But both the first and the second game didn't have their problems. And with that being said, to me, a 9 out of 10 is fitting. More specifically, the issues I had with Horizon Forbidden West in the 35 hours it took for me to finish the main campaign was mostly technical. It was, texture popping. This is known. Bugs such as key prompts when you want to go up to like a fire to hit triangle to save. You had to stand in a specific spot to trigger it. This didn't happen all the time, but when the button prompts would come up, they would be a little janky and clunky from time to time. The climbing was also a little clunky. But generally speaking, the bugs and glitches weren't game breaking. In my experience, I had no crashes whatsoever playing on PS5. So overall, that was the only issue I had with the game. Provided Guerrilla cleans this up in the next month or so or what have you, this game could be a 10 out of 10, provided they clean up the technical problems. And that's just my opinion. But in its current state, it's a 9 out of 10. But what bothers me is when I look on Metacritic and I see an 88 score. Now, to me, I agree with an 88 score. I think an 88 score is accurate. You also have the user score, which sits at 8.1 with just over 5,300 reviews. Again, there are obviously some people give zeros and some people give tens, both unjustified. But you have an idea. And what I hear on social media and people complaining is that, it's just an 88. Now, I expect this from Xbox fanboys. I expect this from trolls. They have nothing better to do. But when I hear PlayStation fans complaining about an 88 and then looking at a specific critic and saying, this critic is review bombing, and if you didn't count them, it would be a 93, blah, 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 blah. I mean, grow up, man. First and foremost, when you have a score in anything, that review score is just a guide, nothing more. The only opinion that matters regarding a game is your own opinion and how you feel about it. So when I look at Horizon Forbidden West score of an 88 on Metacritic and an 8.1 on the user score, what is the real story about those numbers? It's not the numbers themselves. The numbers themselves are irrelevant. They mean nothing. It's the story essentially behind it. And in Horizon's case, it basically goes as follows. If you liked or loved Horizon Zero Dawn, chances are you will like and love Horizon Forbidden West. If you didn't like Horizon Zero Dawn, chances are you're not going to like Horizon Forbidden West. Nothing that the sequel does will change your mind if you didn't like its predecessor. Likewise, if you enjoyed the predecessor, you're getting exactly what you want. More, bigger, better. Plain and simple. But the score is a reflection of the fact that no matter how much you enjoy this game, it's not without its flaws. And that when you see an 88 out of 100 on Metacritic, it means, if you like the first game, you're going to like the second one, but it's not perfect. That doesn't mean it's not great. Realistically speaking, people put way too much emphasis on the number and not the context of said number. I've seen people complain about a game getting a 7 out of 10 and considering that bad. Last time I checked, 5 is in the middle of 1 and 10. Or 0 and 10, whichever you want to scale it. 5 is in the middle. So a 5 out of 10 game is technically an average. A 6 out of 10 would be above average. A 4 out of 10 would be below average. Anything below a 4 means the game needs to be broken to the point where you can't even play it. That's the only time that it should ever get a score that low, or if just the mechanics and what have you is just that bad. Likewise, a game should only get an 8 or above if it's an exceptional game, if it's a game that you could recommend to people and most people would enjoy. That's what Horizon Forbidden West is. It is a game that most people will enjoy. But the thing is that it is a sequel. You're not talking about From Software who goes from Dark Souls to Sekiro. It's two different IPs from the same company made in the same mold. So you could sit there and say, hey, yeah, you may like Sekiro, but not like Dark Souls, or vice versa. That can happen, as there's enough differences between those games to make that happen. But with Horizon, when you see an 88 on a Metacritic score, that score means that if you like the first game, you're going to like the second one, but it's not perfect. Plain and simple. You don't like the first one, you're not going to like the second one. Stop putting so much emphasis on the number and look at the context surrounding the number. People need to remember that you can have a different opinion with someone else on the same product and both be right. Plain and simple. Too many people look for this validation, this idea that my opinion is right and your opinion is wrong. Not the case whatsoever. There's a reason why God of War won Game of the Year over Red Dead Redemption, despite the fact that many people felt that Red Dead Redemption 2 should have won. People have different tastes, people have different opinions, and people will react differently to the same thing. It's no different than any other Force of Medium or any other story. So without further ado, please, for the love of God, stop putting so much emphasis on the number. Use the number and the context surrounding it as a guide when looking at reviews. And in doing so, you then make an informed opinion on whether or not to spend your time and money on that product. And once you decide to do that and you decide to purchase or jump on that product's bandwagon, form your own opinion. Let your opinion dictate whether or not you enjoyed it or not. This applies to all forms of medium, regardless if it's video games, movies, TV shows, what have you. This is Veteran Gamer, and I hope to see you guys next time.